Herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Aufgabe auf Unfiltered Podcast auf ALEX Berlin. Heute begrüßen wir eine außergewöhnliche Frau, eine Visionärin und eine Changemakerin, eine Visionärin und globale Changemakerin. In unseren Gesprächen geht es um Philosophie und ihre Philosophie, dass Kultur ist the new currency. Kim Poole aus USA. Welcome to another compelling episode of the Unfiltered Podcast. My guest is Kim Poole, a visionary woman who is actually setting her own space across the globe. Today, we will be looking at her work that merges creativity, culture, and community transformation. Kim Poole, joining us from USA, is a fusion performing artist, cultural strategist, and visionary force behind the Teaching Arts Institute and also projects like Sea Voices, where she is actually empowering women across the globe, from countries like Ghana, Gambia, Benin to Baltimore. Kim is traveling around, empowering these women to be self-sufficient in economic and, of course, health issues. Welcome, Kim, to Unfiltered Podcast. Good to see you online, joining us from USA.
Grand Rising, what a pleasure to see that you're doing this work to hold up our stories and to make sure that we're in control of the narrative. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you very much. Can you share with us first what actually inspired you to start this transformative journey?
The truth is, I didn't realize that there was a movement or a journey being started. When you're young, you plan your life, and it never dawns on you that it's not going to turn out that way until it doesn't. So the Teaching Artists Institute began officially in 2015, but I've been an artist, a performing artist, my entire life. It wasn't until the Boko Haram terrorist sect in the Chibok region of Nigeria. They abducted just over 300 girls. And, you know, in Baltimore, unfortunately, there are always stories of girls being abducted. But I had been shaken by the notion that these girls were in school and this was politically motivated. And my friend, we're sitting on the sofa and we're watching it on the news. And she says, Kim, well, what are you going to do? You're here in Baltimore. The next thing I knew, I had booked a flight. I had spoken to every promoter that I knew in Nigeria. And we had booked a tour across the country, raising awareness, raising funds in partnership with the Rotary Club of Ikeja. We booked this tour and we said, let us do something just to be that bullhorn of truth. And when it was time for me to go, I was still working a traditional job at that time. We, I think maybe 3 months later, the drummer in my band, he said, what's next? And I said, next, I wanted to be the type of person that didn't just talk about issues, that didn't just watch problems, but actively got involved and used my art form as a tool of, inspiration. I just wanted to do more than just watch the issues. But I thought I had done that. I said, I've been in Nigeria for 3 months. I had never been to the country. We toured everywhere from the university, Unilag, to Inacoca, to VI and Banana Island with the big wigs and Maguro Estates. I thought we had done our work. And the drummer of my band, he said, what is next? And I thought, wow, you are ungrateful. I've just given so much. But when I got home back to the US, I realized he was right. The work had just begun. And so that was in 2014. And in 2015, we started the Teaching Artists Institute. And so we train artists to use art as a tool for social transformation. And that was almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
We do that in 9 countries,
I would
7
actually,
of which
I
are on
would
the
actually,
continent of Africa.
That's actually part of my questions. That was thank you for that breakdown of how the journey started. Interesting to know that the Chibok, you know, demonstration or crisis actually inspired it. As a soul fusion performing artist, how does your music reflect your activism and cultural philosophy?
To be honest, I've always seen creation and creativity as the tool that gets you to the table. Music, I've always said music saves lives. It has the power to teach you or heal you, even without your knowledge or consent. You don't have to agree. And so as an artist, I know that the vibration I wield helps me to influence, helps me to connect, to get into rooms, to bring artists to decision-making tables. My art form itself, only recently have I begun with intention to create songs that I know have messages that I want the people to hear, because, you know, the art came before the social transformation. And in many ways, music for me was just my own diary. Sharing that with the world was my emotional release and sanity and balance. It was healing for me and my family first. And only later did I say, oh, I'm an artivist. I have to sing about more than just, you know, how I feel today. I need to be intentional about creating songs that are going to activate the consciousness of the people. And so last year we put out a song called Baltimore Sugar in Liberia when President Boakai, when he took the stand and came back into office. And we see it as like a song around liberation, but also connected to food sovereignty. And so this Baltimore Sugar, it really speaks about the exploitative nature of the sugar industry and all of the agricultural industries that have really, in some ways, tell the journey of a people, my people, and how that's connected to other places around the world. But for sure, music is powerful because it's very different from any other art form, because music has no translator. There is no interpretation. If I see color, my eye is the translator, and my eye sees a variation in light, and that travels on my occipital lobe all the way to the back of my head. And then my brain tells my body, you are seeing, I don't know, purple. But music is different. It's vibration. There is no interpretation. The vibration around you, you literally feel that. Your entire body. So when I call out to the audience and I say, hey, y'all, you feeling me? They are literally feeling me. And so music, it reminds us of the connectivity, the connection of vibration and everything. Rhythm is life and life is rhythm. We are the rhythm people. And that's actually the name of one of our campaigns with the Teaching Artists Institute.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You made mention of the Teaching Art Institute, and how did actually the idea came about, and what is teaching artistry, and what are some of you know your culture? What are some of the philosophies that you're actually working on, or how does it support? How does it actually support social transformation?
So these are all good questions. I feel like it's maybe 3 questions in one, but I'm going to unpack them one by one. So first and foremost, I think when a lot of people hear Teaching Artists Institute or teaching artistry, they immediately think about the classroom. They think about the school system in the traditional way that it's been given to us, because education is really socialization. So people are being trained to properly integrate into the society. They're not necessarily being taught how to think. And so when we say teaching artist or Teaching Artists Institute, we're really speaking to our ability to define those terms for ourselves. So we're arts integration into community. We're thinking about how the creative in society teaches other sectors how to think with the creativity of the traditional artist class. We're looking at the parallels and the connections between the different, I don't know, sectors in society, the different classes in society, and we're really trying to help them understand that they too are artists. Everybody is an artist. Art, even ideas, the inception of them, that is creation. And so we want to remind society to embrace their creativity. And so that looks different in every region where we work. But most importantly, we want the artist class to help awaken the imagination of the masses so that we can create the sustainable world that we need, one that is in balance, one that is regenerative, one that is well and healed. So that's like the first half of your question. So you can repeat like the other three that were connected to that.
No, I mean, I think you sum it up very well. You traverse a lot across different continents, and your work touches countries like Ghana, Liberia, Jamaica, Uganda, Tanzania, and the Gambia. What are some of the standout moments from your work across these regions?
So again, we're focused on art as a tool for social transformation. And that looks different in every region. Our goal is to connect artists and art culture to sustainable development across sector, to be intentional about intergenerational dialogue, to be intentional about working grassroots and grass tops, to make sure that those that are resource depraved are connected to those that are abundant, so that we can all learn to operate in this energy of abundance. Because the earth has everything we need when we live in balance and we're not, being exploitative, and when we're not hoarding or consuming without check or balance. And so there's some really great examples in each region that I can speak to. I can remember in Ghana when we began to connect the hip hop artists to the farmers and growers. In Ghana, agriculture is not something that the young people actually want to do. You don't grow up and say, when I grow up in Ghana, I want to be a farmer. But farmers are incredible people. And Ghana has some of the most fertile land in the world. The cacao industry, these things are big business, but the young people, many of them come from agrarian families. And so they say, listen, I saw my mom or my dad, working on the land with one hoe or one shovel without the infrastructure or some of the learned technologies or best practices. And so they didn't scale the operation. So they see it as a poor man's job. A mama selling plantains on the roadside. And what they aspire to are office with business suits and, ties. But what we did in Ghana is we used very popular hip hop artists, Trigmatic, Andy Dusty, Obor. We talked to these major hip hop artists and we asked them, what would it look like? We did this in 2017. If we were to connect hip hop artists in these promotional campaigns to let young people in Ghana know that agriculture is cool, agriculture is paid, it's big business. And I would like to say that we made a difference in Ghana in 2017. And some of those seeds that were planted have sprouted and are still growing today. Some of those hip hop artists, after doing those advocacy campaigns, decided that they should take a step closer to the political environments. And some of them got promoted and became elected officials, and they're still artists, but now they're also using a larger microphone in the country of Ghana. And so I would say that's one of our examples in West Africa. When I think here in Baltimore, you know, Nas is a hip hop artist I love. He said, "You can't help other places when you ain't helped home yet." And though we work around the world, we will always work right here in my home city of Baltimore. And one of the things that we're doing in the West Side, in Park Heights, we're looking at rebuilding the infrastructure. You find a lot of dilapidated buildings. You find just years of divestment, what we would call blockbusting or redlining. Those are some of the policies that targeted Black communities and made sure that their real estate value would not increase. And so we decided that we would buy some of those buildings that have been dilapidated, create artist cooperatives, have them pool their resources together to create models around cooperative living so that artists have affordable housing, so that they are using their location and placement in these communities to begin to awaken the imagination of their neighbors. And so now we're seeing artists more holistically, not just when they're performing on stage, when they're the hired help, when they've come to entertain us or make us feel better, forget our problems in the world, but also contributing to the infrastructure of the community and also benefiting themselves. That is balance.
Yeah.
And so that's a part of what we're doing here in Baltimore. We call it our Teaching Artists Institute Artists in Residence. And we're doing that in other places too. Tanzania, in East Africa.
Yeah,
I mean, I could give you, oh my God, so much about how art is intersecting in other sectors in our work with the Teaching Artists Institute.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. One of your inspiring initiatives or projects is the Sea Roses, that is actually inspiring African women across the country on health and businesses. How did the Sea Roses start? What is actually Sea Rose? You're raising them high.
Women should have a sisterhood. It's not really a T-shirt or like it's not a business. It's not even at this point a project. It's really just my sisterhood. It started because those first group of artists, of culture workers that we worked with our first program. When I got back from Nigeria, the first program I did with the Teaching Artists Institute, it was called the Thai Fellowship Program. And we were focused on helping traditional artists connect their art form to areas of community that they were passionate about. And so one artist, he said, "I'm passionate about ending the school to prison pipeline." And so he started to go into the jails and do workshops around helping mitigate violence using music. One was a visual artist, and they were focused on the hospitals using color and sound to, I guess, encourage therapy and healing and wellness. And I thought that was great. I thought I had done my job. I was more than the person that just talked about it. And those artists, they called me out. We say that, I'm calling you out. And they said, "Kim, where is your project? Where have you connected art, your art, with communities that you care about, with the areas of society that you care about?" And I thought to myself, I'm doing this Teaching Artists Institute. This is my project. And they thought, "But aren't you passionate about an area of society? And you're a performing artist. You do music. Is there no connection?" And so they planted that seed. And in 2016, when I was invited by Musica, the Musicians Union of Ghana, to perform as a part of their Ghana Music Week festivals and festivities, they asked that I do a workshop with the women. All the women that were working in the music industry, there was Wayala and I think the mama with the women's band, Nana Surwa. I'm thinking back to, wow, 2017. Um, Time is moving. So we met with these women, and I did a workshop with them, and I said, listen, we don't have to compete in the industry. There's enough space for all of us to do this work. And when it was over, Ghana is very ceremonious. I'm learning that about my brothers and sisters on the continent. Throughout the meeting, I had called them sheroes so many times that I guess it made an impression. And when it was over, one of the women, she came up and she said, when do we get our membership cards? And I said, your membership card? What do you mean? She said, yes, you said that we're a part of the sheroes now. And we were wondering, if we would get our cards. And I thought to myself, wow, she has taken this shero sisterhood literally. And so once again, called out, my whole life has been people calling me out, me listening and just hearing what people are internalizing and being that mirror for me, a reflection, and me holding that mirror back up to myself and saying, wow, how can I really take into consideration what they've said in tangible ways? So she asked for her Sheroes membership card, and there you have it, the organic sisterhood that I have always had in my life. The sisterhood from being an artist, all the women backstage in concerts that help us put on our makeup and our super lashes and all of that. Now it had come down to this one moment where it was time to make it official. And so we did just that. From there, I toured around the world, 16 countries, to talk with women that were interested in the concept of what it meant to protect your womb, protect your sister, protect your nation, what that meant. And we started answering those questions together. And we decided that in order to protect your womb, to protect your sister, and protect your nation, you needed to heal, glow, and grow. So now the sisterhood is even bigger than the Teaching Artists Institute. And we're working in 28 countries now. I'm not even in charge anymore. We have leadership. We've got women that represent each region, women that represent us internationally. Sometimes they call me in to say, Kim, come and talk. Tell us why you started this. And we just launched a new region in Benin. But of course, that, a woman has a baby in the African worldview, but she's not the only mother. She has a midwife, or what they would call a doula, aunties and uncles, and everybody. The village really does raise the child. And so the Sheroes was my baby, but I'm definitely not the only mother. So many mothers, aunties, and the thing is so much bigger than me. I have no idea what our Sheroes are doing right now. They've got a vision. Even in the Gambia, you mentioned the Gambia. We worked there for many years. We had a Shero shop, but my main focus is definitely just taking advantage of the sisterhood, the real authentic sisterhood that I get from some of the women that are a part of this thing that has grown so much bigger than me. And they support me in my work with the Teaching Artists Institute. Some of them are some of my biggest clients with my Thai tours, which is a subsidiary of the Teaching Artists Institute. We facilitate cross-cultural exchange and study abroad. Some of my Sheroes are my biggest clients. When I think about my work in reparatory justice and reparations for global African people, definitely my Shero sisters stand beside me. And so it's nice. The most important thing you can do is have somebody to have your back. Yeah. And so when you look over your shoulder and you know that your sister is standing there, you can do anything. And that's really what the Sheroes is for me. Yeah. But thank you for that question.
Yeah. And apropos Sheroes, again, how those Sheroes bridge the gap between identity, wellness, and economic empowerment for women in the communities that you serve.
You said, how are Sheroes bridging the gap?
How those Sheroes bridging gap between cultural identity, wellness, and economic empowerment for women in communities that you serve?
So for me, really, When I think about the sheroes, it's more in a personal way that I work with the sheroes now in my own life. So finding true deep dive meanings around what it means to be sister, what it means to be mother, especially in a world where now anybody can be a woman. In some countries where you go, even this U.S. where I live, they say if all you do is feel like you're a woman today, then you can even go and have a sex change, and now you're a woman too, if you feel that way. And so just really just focusing on sheroism in my own life, what it means to be a woman, having a group of women that are reminding me of that on a daily basis. I pray that every woman have that. Every brother has a brotherhood. Just going back to the African worldview, on healthy relationships between women, mothers and daughters, sisters, aunties. I'm an auntie, I'm a proud auntie, and I've got nieces and nephews around the world. And like going back to the basics, I could talk about these lofty concepts, the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. I could talk about the policies they did there, the African Union, how we're trying to get rid of that word feminism in this year of reparatory justice so that we can get the African woman's worldview on what it means to be a woman and in community and in relationship. I could talk about all those things, but really, I would rather tell you just talk to the current Sheroes leadership. Like that's their job now. For me personally, I just want to focus on having my sisterhood be a part of the foundation for my life and my family, and how that will make me stronger in my work with the Teaching Artists Institute. Sometimes when we pour out so much that we're depleted. And it's important that we practice good self-care, that we practice balance. And so I appreciate how my sisterhood continually reminds me of the need for real sisters in real life. When the cameras are off and the show is over, who are your real sisters? Who are the real mamas in your life? Your daughters? Who are you with intention saying that I want you to carry on this value system? I want you to be a part of this legacy. Those are the things that matter. Your aunties, the ones that you kiki with, we say kiki, the ones that you laugh with and dance with, the ones that support you and help to grow you up, making sure you have that in your real life. It's not about a t-shirt. It's not about a new logo or slogan. It's about trying to have these things in your real life every day. That's the goal for me.
Yeah. In your view, Kim, what unique role does art and storytelling in particular play in healing and empowering women in Africa and, of course, the diaspora communities?
Well, story is the most important. It's the most powerful art form. It's the way we learn about the world around us. And we need to change the narrative for global African people. The mother of the world, our first mother, Mother Earth, we acknowledge that. The African woman, the mother of civilization, us using stories to acknowledge that. Us reminding women that they're the first artist. In your womb, you have the ability to create life. What a beautiful thing, creating life. You are an artist. Letting women know that. I think it's important that we take ownership of our narrative, that we change the story, that we tell our own stories. I think when we're able to do that, then we'll begin to teach the next generation, not just teach them in a storybook way, right? Once upon a time, but in a way where they begin to digest and embody the story. Now they are a part of the narrative, letting them know that they too are authors. They too are griots, storytellers. In the African world view, the griot holds the history of the village. But what we have to remember is that history is, in the African worldview, it's past, present, and future at the same time. that we're not just talking about the stories behind us, but we're also talking about the stories ahead of us and how that shapes the story of now. Um, right now, I guess it's catchy for people to talk about the future. But being present in the now, like being able to really digest this moment right here, taking time to have stories that remind us to breathe deep in the moment. Um, yeah, holistic storytelling. That's what the woman has the ability to do. Her very body is a story that reminds us of past, present, and future.
Mhm. Looking ahead, how do you envision expanding sea roses, especially in countries like the Gambia, where you are building strong artistic and community ties?
Me, I don't look I don't look forward to expanding She Rose at all. Listen, I have planted my seed. I have given birth to a global nation. I mean, we're in 28 countries. Honestly, if we can just take a step back and better do what we've already started doing, that's what I would like to see for the sisterhood. We're not looking to grow. I think we've been trained to have this mentality where we just grow and grow, expansion, expand, expand. I think that those kind of value systems are rooted and inspired by like the consumerism that comes out of capitalism and exploitation and extraction. I seek balance. And honestly, if we can just do better what we've already started doing, that uh, is, to me, that would be a win. But for me, as the founder of the Sheroes, a mother, her job is to teach her children to survive um, in the day that she no longer exists. And so I'm proud to say I have no idea what the She Rose is doing outside of the sisterhood that I experienced in my personal life, that I'm not the face of the movement anymore, that we have other mamas and aunties and sisters and daughters that are doing that work in their regions, that I can point you to the person that you should talk to. Because I founded the She Rose in 2016. I served as the international host for 4 years. Then I passed it to my sister Angela Sales, and she was the international host. After her, she decided, Kim, this role is too much for one person. Now there are 3 women that represent our international sisterhood, and each region not only has one but 3 women that represent that region, whether it be advocacy or the Shiro Shop, our sustainability, or the education and engagement arm, the traditional sisterhood. And so, no, I don't have any vision for growing the Sheroes. I'm not actively involved in building the infrastructure. When they bring me in, it is very much as a mother that has raised a daughter that is sufficient, that can feed herself, that knows how to fish. And to me, that's one of the jewels in my crown that I wear proudly. But I can connect you to the people that do those things. I don't know what's going on in the Gambia, but I can certainly find out. And I think Jenaba Toure, I love the fact that in most of the regions, I know the women, I know them by name. We are in real sisterhood with each other. So I think Jenaba Toure is the one actively working now to represent Sheroes. I think that the next Sheroes work retreat will be actually in the Gambia. Every year in September, we do an international Sheroes work retreat. And I do my level best wherever I am in the world to make sure that I'm there. But really, I'm there to be in sisterhood with my sister.
Mm. Back in Baltimore, you have launched Teil to support community artists with housing and service opportunities. Can you tell us more about the idea behind this residency that you're also trying to expand beyond Baltimore?
Sure. When I mentioned earlier that one of the examples of our work is a model in cooperative living. It started with cooperative housing out of the COVID-19 pandemic, when I realized that many of the artists were couch surfing, not necessarily because they didn't have money to buy a traditional mortgage or to pay for an apartment. But really, because they're semi-nomadic, right? They're gigging here, they're gigging there. They didn't have a traditional house. And so the COVID-19 pandemic exposed that, because now people are saying, listen, I have to stay home, like my life depends on it. You can't come over when you're in the city. And then the festivals and the gig economy, it kind of closed down for the artist class. And so they, in 2020, were most affected. So in 2021, we started to build the infrastructure for that housing. And Park Heights has always been a community that has been dear to me. I've worked there since I was 14 years old. And I said to myself, let's grow where we're planted, right? And so on Oswego Avenue in Baltimore, we have our first property. We're looking to buy 3 more on the other side of the street. And really, this is our opportunity to create a model for cooperative living that is not only for the traditional artist class, but centers traditional artists. Air is our acronym, because in 2019 or 2020, the COVID pandemic, it took away our oxygen. And so we want Air, or our acronym, Artists in Residence, to remind them that artists are like resuscitation. They're like oxygen in community. I'm real gimmicky like that. So I like, acronyms, and I'm always thinking those kind of things like a marketing person. I think in another life, I would have worked in marketing, right? Yeah. Jingles and all that kind of, how can we be catchy? And
yeah. You actually coined...
So we've been doing it since then.
Cool. You actually coined the phrase, currency is the, culture is the new currency, rather. What does that mean to you, and how does it shape your work?
So for me, culture is the new currency. Honestly, I'm even still discovering what that means. I feel like culture is the new currency was a download from God to give me and unveil my life journey. And every year I find out more, I unpack more about what that means. For right now, I know these things. One, it's bigger than the creative industries. Yeah. It's not just about the music business and upcycling or artpreneurship, even though that is included. Right now, for me, it's about us defining for us what is of value and changing our value system to reflect one that is collective, that is communal, that is cooperative, that is balanced. And the role of the creator in inspiring and helping to manage and inspire that process. Culture is the new currency. Us determining for us what is of value.
Mm-hmm. With all the work that you do requires a lot of energy, a lot of motivation, and comes with a lot of challenges. As a Black woman leading such a global initiative, global cultural and social initiative through art, how do you overcome some of the challenges that you actually faced?
Have I overcome them? I don't know. I don't know if I've overcome them. What I say is that I don't quit. Challenges come. Trump is in office. They voted for him. I still live here. I still deal with that. We've got issues. The ice caps are melting. There are a lot of problems. What I do is every day I try again. And I invite anybody listening to consider the same. It doesn't mean that you'll win, but just keep going. Kim, my acronym, KIM, keep it moving. Just keep going. Yeah. Stay in the flow. That's it.
Amazing. Yeah. Your name is giving well. Keep it moving, Kim. How do you ensure that the community you work in are not only represented, but also own their own narratives and benefit from the work that you and them are doing?
So the communities I work in, I try to only work with communities that I'm a part of, so that our story is the same spectrum. But one thing for sure, I know that a lot of people, they look at our logo with the Teaching Artists Institute, and it's a Black background with white letters, TAI. And they're like, Kim, y'all are artists, and your logo is so plain. And I told them, I said, it's because our stories are so colorful. And so we're going to have so many flyers and so many platforms that when it comes to our actual logo, it needs to be basic, simple, and to the point. And so how do we give those communities that we work with the opportunity to make sure their stories are not erased? I would say really that's somebody else's problem, because our microphone, I mean, it's so much bigger than me. The Teaching Artists Institute, we're a collection of stories from the communities of origin. And so we are telling our own stories. We're on the same spectrum. And so when we're in Gambia, we're telling Gambian stories. When we're in Tanzania, Kenya, in East Africa, we're in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and in West Africa, Ghana, Gambia, Liberia. In the Congo, since 2022, that's our newest region, specifically in Goma and Kivu with Bush Sabar. Shout out to the Invisible Kids dancing their pain away in that region. And then in Grenada. We started in Jamaica in the Caribbean, but then in Nanny Town, all of the artists we were working with, they moved to America. And so that kind of shut down our region. And so now we're in Grenada, and we were invited. We only go where we're invited. I think that's important. When it comes to our work with the Teaching Artists Institute, we don't impose. The narratives of the local people are always centered because we only go where we're invited. And I think that's a good rule of thumb.
Cool. And thank you very much. Finally, what message or call to action do you have for young artists, especially women who want to use arts or their craft for social justice and transformation?
I would say start. Don't wait. You don't have enough money, fine. You don't know the right people, okay. Start, even if it just means sitting down with an old-fashioned piece of paper and an old-fashioned pen and starting to write down what vision you have for yourself and the world. Start today. You know, when I started the Teaching Artists Institute officially in 2015, it was just really a workshop. That was how I continued when I came back from Nigeria and realized that it wasn't over. It wasn't instantly an organization, but I had an elder, Mr. Rufus T. Stevenson, and after he participated in the workshop, he said, Kim, keep going. That's his accent. He was raised in Georgia, but went to school in Oxford in England. And so he has the most weird accent. It's like a country Black down south accent mixed with Oxford, England. It's a weird accent, but he said, Kim, keep going. And I did. And so I think start today is the advice that I would give them. Don't wait. Don't wait. Just start. And then after you start, keep going.
Mm-hmm. Don't wait. Just start. And after you start, keep going. Keep going, Kim Poole. That was Kim Poole, founding fellow of the Teaching Arts Institute, and also the founder of Sea Roses, and so many other initiatives. Kim is actually making a global impact in the lives of so many people, especially women, through arts and culture. Our conversation and her work actually reminds us that storytelling and cultural expression are not just creative outlets, but powerful vehicles for healing and transformation. If this episode actually inspires you, keep watching or keep tuning for more compelling stories on the Unfiltered Podcast. Until I come your way next time. Das war eine inspirierende Gespräche mit Kim Poole aus USA, einer Frau, die mit Kunst, Kultur und Vision die Welt verändert. Ihre Arbeit zeigt uns, dass Kunst weit mehr ist als Ausdruck. Sie ist ein Werkzeug für soziale Wandel, Heilung und Empowerment, besonders für Frauen in Afrika und der Diaspora. Das war's von unserer heutigen Sendung Unfiltered Podcast. Mein Name ist Nima Ajadama. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.